Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.
It's the After the Show podcast, precious show.
We don't care, we're about to swear on the air. It's the After the Show, so tune in if you dare. KVJ, get risque every single day. It's uncensored. We can say what we want to say.
Yeah, we can, baby. Welcome to the Tuesday KVJ After the Show podcast. What's up?
Yeah, That's
What?
right.
If you want to get any kind of reaction on social media, all you got to do is just post something up about wearing or not wearing a mask.
What?
And people will lose their marbles, guaranteed. Virginia just sent me a screenshot of a mask fight on her next door page.
Yeah, my next door is called North Jupiter. So it's like the most northern piece of land you can live in Jupiter before you're completely in Martin County.
Okay.
And what are these bitches fighting about?
Masks.
Well, it starts with Gail, who wrote masks. Please, those of you who don't want to wear masks, respect us that do. Give us at least 6 feet of personal space. I won't go near you. Please don't come near me.
It's a great Gale voice.
Yes, that's very Gale/Karen adjacent.
Yes, and then it just starts from there. James is like, masks and 6 feet apart, please. And then another Jones says, I believe if you wear a mask, you don't need social distances.
Someone's got to put scamdemic or plandemic in there somewhere.
And then
Yes.
someone's got to clap back at somebody else saying, it's unfortunate that you do not believe in or understand science, Joan.
And then somehow it's going to lead to someone's going to start fighting about the protest. It'll lead to that.
Yeah, Mary said, the virus can even enter through your eyes, so you should practice social distancing even with a mask. And that's the argument that goes on.
Yes.
It'll turn political. Give it time. Give it time.
Probably will. It is just amazing how everything breaks down by all of these lines. Everything in our society now, every single point breaks down politically. It's unbelievable to me. And it's unbelievable to me that there's no center. Like, what the heck, man? Why is it that the parties, the media, everybody else is trying to push you to one side or the other? I hate all of it because I'm smack dab in the middle. And if you're like me, you think like I do, you feel like a man alone. You feel like, wow, what's going on in this world? Like, there is nobody that is, to me, balanced.
There is stuff that is more centered, but I think you have to go. You're not going to see that on your mainstream media.
It doesn't
at all.
It doesn't get any love. I was talking to my
doesn't.
mom, who's she's far right. She's a big old Republican. I was talking to her, and she knows where I sit and all this stuff. I'm like, gosh, I would just love to have a channel that is for me, because she's got her Fox News, and people on the left have got their MSNBC and their CNN and everything else. I said, I just love to have something for me. I said, I'd go on there and we talk about things. We'd actually have civil discussions, and she's like, that would be so boring, nobody would watch. I'm
That's
like,
not true. I disagree. I think there's more people looking for civil discussions, honestly. I do. I think if they get something out of it and they're learning, or it doesn't matter what the subject is, I think there is an audience that's craving that kind of stuff.
I'm craving it. And
I am too.
I feel like it would be interesting. And there was an article, I was just reading some excerpts with it, Jon Stewart, because he's got a movie that he's put together. And so they're interviewing him for that. And he was talking about the news networks. And what he said is very true, and it's not anything different than social media. He said, look, these news networks, the 24/7, he said, there's not enough news to warrant that kind of time being spent on anything that we do, unless you are in the middle of 9/11 or you just started the Gulf War. That is really the only time that you can legitimately fill that amount of time with any kind of real discourse that is new and is different. And he said, so they do all these things, and to make sure that the ratings aren't in the toilet is they basically create political porn they create these discussions just like you do on social media and how they get people bickering back and forth. It is all about keeping you there and keeping engagement. Their number one reasoning for what they're doing and their number one motivation is keeping you there. It's not telling you the truth. It's not helping you make decisions in your life. It is to keep you engaged. And so that is their driving factor in their motivation. Dang. And that's why we argue and say, I can't get the truth. Well, that's not, they don't care about the truth. They care about keeping eyeballs there and being able to sell their numbers to people who give them money for advertising.
The 24-hour news cycle, man, Kevin's completely right. There's not enough shit to talk about. So they got to make all this shit up.
And so that's, what Jon Stewart was crediting to. And he said, yeah, there's just really nothing in the middle. And I think he was bringing this to point because his new movie picks on the right and the left. And he goes after Republicans and Democrats. Now, I think, if you've watched his show where he leans, so there might be a little bit of imbalance in his balance.
You're already going to get people that say that.
Sure. But, that was, I guess, his point in that, saying that that's really the way things are constructed right now.
As soon as someone says, I feel, or I think, or my opinion, it's not the news anymore. Mm-hmm. It's an editorial.
Right. And that editorializing, that's where people will tune in. They want to hear. And, honestly, a lot of times, even on Twitter, I'll admit that I just sometimes read a little bit of the story and get the headlines, and I go through and I read people's comments to it. And then one of the more valuable comments is like, clearly this person didn't read the story. So, because again, even the headlines are set up for clickbait because they want you to engage. So they write things that maybe the story doesn't even say what the headline did. And people just go on the headline, what? And then they start fighting in the comment section without even reading the actual story itself, which isn't what the headline led you to believe it was.
I saw somebody fighting yesterday about a fake story. It was clearly fake, and it was from 2016. And this person goes, can you believe this? I am outraged. And then you look at every comment in their Facebook section. Hey, love, that's from 2016, and it's not real. Oh, never mind. Well, I'm still mad. Imagine if that was real.
Well, imagine if that was real. If you write that, you're dumb. Imagine if that was real.
Well, I think for a lot of people, and where I've tried to get myself to, is if I find I read something and it kind of gets me enraged, I immediately try to hit the pause button now and say, wait a minute, this is a trap, this is a trick, and they've got you on the hook. They've set the bait and they've hooked you. You're enraged and you're now angry diving into this, and you're only going to add to this. If you pull back, and so often, I would say 90% of the time, when I pull back and really start looking at the story, I've realized that there's so much fake rage that has been added to every story that if you would just pull it back a little bit and be like, okay, it's not really what they're saying it is. They've gone with the extreme version of this to try to get people yelling at each other. And now, again, like I said, with all my discussions that I've been having with the stuff on my little show, the South Florida United, is trying to pull away from the noise, trying to get all that static away. And that's all that is. That is the bait. That's the meat to get you involved, to get you angry, to build that engagement. I didn't really care what our numbers were. I'm like, I wanted to have calm discussion. And that was it. And so, yeah, would a network work like that where people are on there just saying, I have an opinion, but I want to hear yours because you might change my opinion?
Yeah, I think there's people that want that
and
content.
You think that would work?
I do, yeah. I think it would work on the internet. You're never going to see these big networks do that bullshit. You're just not. But on the internet, absolutely, you'll see that.
It'd be interesting to see if you could just get that and you could talk about any topic. And it would be all the stuff that people are so enraged about is what you would go after. And if you just took, if you de-escalated people's emotions on it and had a rational conversation about even the most controversial topics, where would we wind up and what would it sound like?
The problem is we are just emotional creatures. Human beings are emotional. Look at our history. Mm-hmm. We are so emotional.
Yeah, no, you're right.
What do you mean?
If you believe a matter of the heart kind of a situation and you would protect that to death, you're going to get emotional about that. And that's what happens a lot of times where people are so invested in what they believe in their heart, they can't hear. You're not going to change them no matter what it is, what you're talking about.
And the argument would be that emotion is what creates the great ratings. And if you removed the emotion, then maybe you wouldn't have the great ratings. But to remove the emotion, it gets you to better discussion and probably more progress on a lot of these social issues. So you see how it really defeats itself, where you can't find the solution to the social issues on any of these networks because the goal is to scream and bring emotion into it to get people hooked for ratings.
Dang. It's
So
pretty deep.
tomorrow, I'm going to pick a fight with Virginia. Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow, I'm calling in sick.
See, I knew it, you asshole. I'm trying to start it now.
So on the mask thing, are you concerned or not concerned? The latest poll that I saw was saying that over half of Americans, 54%, are still very concerned about catching COVID-19. 42% say they don't think they're at a high risk of contracting the coronavirus and maybe not doing all the necessary precautions that they could or should. And so that's kind of where we are. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I know today at the Elbow Room, that bar that's on the corner of Fort Lauderdale Beach there, today at 4:30, they are holding a right to work rally because they haven't been able to open up. And they're like, look, we don't really think this is cool or fair. And we've discussed a lot about some of the regulations for what can be open and what can't. And right now, Palm Beach County is waiting to see, hey, we're going to get to be able to go into that relaxed phase 2 where we can start opening more stuff up. And then Palm Beach County over the last week has not been faring very well. In fact, Palm Beach County is a location of 19% of Florida's newly reported infections, even though we only have 7% of the state's population. In fact, as they're pointing out to the state of Florida and how our rates have been rising, Palm Beach County has been the county that typically they've been referencing.
Of the whole state.
Unbelievable, man.
We're the hot spot. Well, we've got almost as many cases as Broward, and think about how much bigger Broward is.
Why?
Just on population.
Why are we not nailing it?
Well, the one reference that they put in the Sun Sentinel was masks are mandatory in Miami-Dade and Broward. Palm Beach County, they're only strongly suggested. And so people are kind of going about their own. And a lot of people who don't have to wear a mask aren't wearing a mask. So, so today, the owner of the Elbow Room, he's like, I don't get it. He's like, strip bars are open, casinos are open, every restaurant with a bar is open. And for some reason, they're ignoring just straight bars. And they used to have a kitchen, but they took it out so they could put a stage in there for bands. So they're like, well, let us open. Like, we can't open or make any money. And we're seeing all these gimmicky places that they might be able to turn over and make 3 hamburgers in an hour. And they are packed with people because they can make 3 hamburgers in an hour and we can't. And so we can't make any business. So they're trying to protest to get that to happen. But I did see there were a couple bars on Jacksonville Beach that shut back down that had been open.
Yeah, they found that there was actual corona in the bar. Like there was employees and staff that had it and were spreading it. And the bar was a hot spot.
They were serving Corona soup.
Yes.
Damn.
Hey, here's your Corona with lime with the side of Corona.
Damn, Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I'm not going to even ask any questions because tomorrow it'll be some fucking new headline of some bullshit that we're going to have to discuss about it.
Well, a new study found that almost half of people infected with coronavirus don't have any visible symptoms. And they say that there are so many people going around spreading it, which is a complete reversal of what the World Health Organization incorrectly reported about a week ago. But that's why they're saying it's so important to wear a mask. So your fight that's going on next door, that's what they're saying, is that half the people don't have any kind of symptoms, yet they're still spreading the disease.
A lot of people aren't wearing masks at the stores either.
He's right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was at the store the other day. I would say half were not.
I couldn't believe it in Isla Mirada. I mean, how many people were not wearing a mask? I was like, wow.
Oh, really? Even in Isla Mirada, huh?
Yeah, because my girlfriend went the week before and she said everybody was wearing a mask everywhere she went. But I could tell as you look at the people, a lot of the people were not locals.
Okay,
so maybe
yeah.
all the
Makes
locals
sense.
were wearing masks and all the tourists were not wearing masks down there because not a lot of tourists had them on.
They were all from Jacksonville.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I did not go indoors anywhere. I just didn't.
Did you see any bars? And if they were they packed?
The outdoor tiki bars, areas, yes, packed. I did not walk up to them and order anything from them, but there was not a stool to be had and a waiting list to sit at any of them.
Wow. Okay. So a lot of people going out, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. This is crazy out there. So who knows? Hopefully the numbers continue to go down, and we'll see what happens. Because I think they're really right now trying to make decisions about our kids going to go back to school. University is going to be back in. What is going on? There's a lot of important decisions need to be made, and it's kind of still hanging in the balance.
It'll be July before you know it.
It'll be back to school before you know it.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they don't go back to school in July, though.
I don't think they're going back in August.
I don't think they're going back in August either.
I think they just recently made some announcements about some universities that plan on going back. And I think one of them was early August, like August 7th, I think I saw.
If there's no second wave, I can see that. Everyone's talking about, there might be a second wave coming around right now.
Well, then I heard that this is not the second wave. This is still the first wave. A second wave wouldn't happen till the fall.
Right.
So you're too early if you're saying this is the second wave. We're still in the first wave.
Mm-hmm.
This is just extra sauce from the first.
It's just a big-ass wave.
Yeah. Well, if there wasn't enough chaos happening in the world, I saw this story. People in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, you might know if you've got T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, Sprint. They said that the largest cyber attack in history happened yesterday with outages in those areas, including Atlanta, Chicago, Houston, New York, and Los Angeles.
Whoa.
Where somebody intentionally went out and tried to take out the network, and they were able to do it.
They got them out? How long did they knock down the networks?
I guess it was a couple hours yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah, if you have any of those. I did not notice anything, and I think I do. I think I know people have AT&T. Maybe my family. I think we have AT&T on some of the phone stuff.
Verizon. I didn't notice anything, but are we highlighted? I saw Miami and Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, so it might not have been. So maybe there's some people that are checking out the show that maybe your service was affected yesterday. And you just got to wonder if that is something that could it be worse than possible other attacks? Is that the new thing you got to worry about now? Cyber attacks. Who knows?
Cyber
Crazy.
attacks.
It's crazy,
Next
right?
year it'll be dragons.
I hope not. I feel like I could do better against a cyber attack than a dragon.
Could you imagine if scientists came out and said, look, there's 100 dragons that have been released. We don't know where they came from, but they are all over Earth and they are fucking shit up. Just look out.
And they're coming for you.
And that's our new way of life is when you go outside, you have to look up in the sky to see if a dragon's coming by.
Well, I'm certainly happy I have a garage now that I can pull into.
Do dragons have to wear masks for coronavirus?
Hell no.
And if they do, what happens when they breathe fire?
Give a shit about a mask. They can give a shit about your garage. Oh, good luck with your garage and a dragon. You don't know. You don't know about dragons.
I don't. I didn't watch Game of Thrones. School me.
Mm-hmm. This is kind of crazy, too. Engineers and scientists created the first ever underwater Wi-Fi system. So when you go underwater, you'll be able to still get Wi-Fi.
This underwater dive has Wi-Fi? What's the Wi-Fi password?
I mean,
Squidding?
What's the point?
Deep sea divers who need
Okay.
internet access
Oh, yeah.
will be able to use Aquafy.
That's kind of wild.
It's like a Wi-Fi booster, and they use visible light signals which travel at an extraordinarily fast rate. This will allow divers to share live feed from their position underwater to the surface. So, when they do those really deep dives, you'd had that woman who had walked in space who went, 7 or 8 miles underwater. If you did that, she would be able to send the crystal clear pictures back, and you could actually, be tweeting her and stuff.
Oh, how long does it take until you get some aqua porn? Oh, we got some live titties coming up in about 20 minutes. Sign up right now.
Maybe.
I don't think that's coming.
That's going to
You don't think that's why Aquafy was created, Virginia?
Some titties?
No, what I'm saying is eventually, if the technology's there,
You think once you're down there, you're going to want to look at titties and then want to jerk it?
there's going to be some kind of ocean porn going. I'm telling you.
You should not be jerking it in a scuba suit.
Yeah, I don't know that you could. I don't know if they have that access. They don't have in a scuba suit, you can't.
Well, you have a zipper, and technically, I guess you could take it out. But
I'm not saying
shouldn't you be worried about 1,500 other things besides pulling your pork?
Well, and if you're going down that deep, too.
Well, that's what she said.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, I'm not saying it's going to happen right away, but if the technology is there for the internet and all
Can you
that.
just get back on the boat to masturbate?
Look, I didn't make up these rules.
I feel like you did.
Aqua porn, telling you, way with the future.
It's crazy stuff. That could be it. Here's a little technological note as well. I got this said from Robin, said, hey, I want to remind people that the iPhone Live Photo actually is a short video and will capture audio. So maybe don't talk while taking photos. I sent a very sentimental photo of myself as a baby with my grandpa, who died a few years ago, to the group text message I have with my parents and my sister. At the time I took the photo, I was listening to After the Show podcast when you guys were playing Stick That Dick. And so it's a live photo I took, and apparently right as I snapped the picture, you guys were chanting, Stick That Dick. Well, my family was confused and offended and confused about being offended. I wanted to make sure that others were warned.
No, she's completely right. Somebody that we worked with, I won't say who, they had to send me a picture from an event we were going to go do. They were kind of just showing out where the layout was, and they sent me the picture, and they had it's almost like 2 seconds of full audio, and you hear it, and this girl sent the picture, and it sounded like she farted on the pic. We played it before, and I think it was a fart, so you got to be careful with that stuff.
Do I know this girl?
Maybe. Of course, we work with her. Worked with her.
She's no longer here.
I've said too much.
She's a fart from our past. Oh, okay. I love it. Trying to think of all the girls that are no longer here that look gassy.
Okay, you better be looking in that mirror.
Right. There you go. We got an email here from Jeff. Fine gentleman I met at the Heat game right before the COVID days. Oh, the good old days. Went there with the hair club. They got that box for us. And,
oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Before the lockdown.
mm-hmm. So Jeff was there. Got to chat with him, and he was sent an email about the Turnpike. And he said that, yeah, you guys have a platform. I think there's more that needs to be said when you delve deeper into this topic. He says, when the Turnpike was proposed and funding was determined, it was stated that tolls would only exist for X amount of years. I forget exactly how many, but it was written at that time that for about 15 years it would be paid off and tolls would cease to exist. Well, that time came and went, so they decided that they were making too much money to not continue the tolls. Well, skip ahead to a few years back, and you see how they brought about tolls on the Broward through Miami 95 corridor, the express lanes. Another hit to our commuting bottom line dollars. There are a number of organizations who are profiting from these tolls well before the general good of Florida even receives a dime. I know because I did a report on the Turnpike back in my middle school days, and I remember being shocked at the profits, and there was really no one true answer I could find as to where all the money was ending up. Just something for the bird to grease the wheels of his upcoming battle rap. Don't let the man pull this one off on the web like the Astros one. Keep the positivity and know that you guys make a lot of people's day each and every single day. Thank you, Jeff.
Maybe we do need to do a part 2 of the battle rap against the Turnpike.
Well, when it was proposed, it was only supposed to be a certain amount of years of tolls, and then they just decided to keep it going because they like the cash. That is some shady BS.
Are you sure you don't want in on this battle rap? Spit the truth on the... No?
I'm getting closer. I'm telling you, I'm getting closer. I need answers.
So you want... Okay, let's get it wet.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about the mic.
Aqua porn.
I'm not bringing my titties out for your aqua porn. It just feels wrong.
Don't worry, I don't want to see them titties.
Aw,
I'm just kidding.
they're new and lifted.
No, I'm kidding. I want to see them. I don't know what to say here. I'm confused.
Oh, I want to see them. You pig.
I'm like, I don't want to see them. You don't want to see them? Okay, I'll see your titties.
You really cannot win.
You can't win.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they wind up doing.
The titties?
What are you looking at, Kev? Titties?
No. Yes. Yeah. I mean, what's going on here?
You sat up in your chair like you wanted a gander too.
I can't be the only one that wants to look
Kind
at
of a seat wedgie, but yeah, it did look like I was trying to get a gander of Virginia's titties.
a little titty look.
Let me see there. Yeah. Let me see some other stuff we got here. People texting in just confirming that, they had the T-Mobile service, and they said, yes, ours did not work afternoon and night yesterday. We couldn't call or receive any calls. We could only text. So that cyber attack affected some of the KVJ Nationers. You had that.
The son of a bitches.
They got us.
Crazy, huh? It's crazy. It's just crazy out there.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Also, talking about the Turnpike, and maybe need to investigate a little bit more. I'm kind of keeping an eye on this Jeffrey Epstein story, and I'm watching to see what the newspapers are writing about it, because they're making requests to have Jeffrey Epstein's records released, because he took a plea deal, and because he took a plea deal, those records were, basically locked up, and if it had gone to trial, the grand jury transcripts would have become public, and they didn't, because in 2006, when he took that little slap on the wrist,
sweetheart deal.
if you watch Jeffrey Epstein Filthy Rich on Netflix, you'll see all about it and all the details on it.
Yeah, we know what you did, Acosta.
Well, and they're wondering, and I didn't realize this, there's a couple things that I saw the other day, because to give you real quick the people involved, it's the former U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta filed no charges.
No charges.
In an agreement with then Palm Beach State Attorney Barry Kreischer. And so those two guys are going, okay, why did that happen? And now with this documentary out on Netflix and more people watching it, they're saying, hey, yeah, we need to unseal all of this. And still it's being ruled, nope, we're not releasing the grand jury testimony that happened. And people are like, why not? The Palm Beach Post is going after it, and the Sun Sentinel is now backing the Palm Beach Post and saying, yeah, why is this not being released? Well, they dug a little bit deeper, and just to follow this whole thing, because everything, political and all that stuff, it is a web. So the person who's not releasing the details is Palm Beach County Chief Judge Krista Marks. She ruled that State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg cannot release transcripts from Epstein's 2006 grand jury proceeding. Well, just to follow this web, Kreischer is the one who helped Ehrenberg become state attorney in 2012. Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw's office also has paid Kreischer to be a consultant. And you know that Jeffrey Epstein, when he had that open door policy where he just would check into the jail, that was under Rick Bradshaw's watch. Well, Judge Marks worked for Kreischer as a prosecutor, and her daughter is an assistant state attorney under Ehrenberg. So they're all kind of employed. And her son is a deputy under Rick Bradshaw. So, and his office for many years did not disclose the deal that allowed Epstein to serve such easy time.
Well, you know who was my judge years and years ago when I got divorced?
No.
Krista Marks.
Okay, she's the one that's holding it up. She's the one that's saying, no, we're not releasing it.
Like, I know people that know her well.
Yeah. So people are just starting to wonder. In fact, even the governor is starting to wonder. And last August, DeSantis asked Bruce Colton, who's the state attorney for Martin and St. Lucie and some of the northern counties, to supervise a criminal investigation into Kreischer and Bradshaw's conduct. So he's like, hey, what is going on here? So as more people are starting to ask and be like, okay, there's a little bit of a web here where the person who's saying no, you've got some people tied to the state attorney, tied to the sheriff, tied to this, tied to that. So the people you might want to know, it is quite an interesting web, and it is very complex and complicated, I understand. But I was just trying to dig deeper and say, like, okay, who's holding this up and why?
And what does the law say? Is the law on the side of not releasing it, or does the law say it can be released?
I think it's up to the judge to determine. It's case by case basis, and so so the Palm Beach Post was denied their request, and so they're now trying to generate a little bit more heat behind it to say, what do you have to lose? I mean, come on.
The guy's dead.
The guy's dead. I
mean,
who
are we protecting?
We want to see why he got this sweetheart of a deal. If he was a serial sex offender, which it looks like by the documentary and everybody's claims, if he was a serial sex offender, why wasn't he treated as such? And was he given favoritism? And these are all the issues that we have with our system, where somebody who might be rich and powerful gets a deal that somebody else who is not cannot. And that's not blind justice, right?
No, it's the opposite.
Yeah. So that there actually might be able to be a part 2 of that or another episode.
Well, I hope the Palm Beach Post doesn't go belly up before they figure out the answers.
I know, right?
Damn it, it's been seriously defunded.
Yeah. So if you just look at the surface of that as to why maybe it didn't come out and you start digging deeper, imagine all the names that could be tied in and what the web might truly look like in the Jeffrey Epstein story if you start truly digging deeper.
But it really is up to the judge's discretion. There's no legal precedent about this sort of thing.
I'd like to hear her response to that question. I'd like to hear Palm Beach County Chief Judge Krista Marks, answer what is the reasoning for not releasing that grand jury testimony.
Because there are co-conspirators here. There are people that hid
Sure.
secrets and could have protected these victims better. That's the sad part when you watch Filthy Dirty, whatever it's called, the Netflix
Filthy Rich.
Filthy Rich thing with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, these girls are in pain.
Yeah.
And they were not protected. They were the opposite of protected, and they're still.
But they didn't have money. They came from poor backgrounds.
Exactly. He got protected, and they did not when it should have been flipped.
Yeah.
And there were people that were trying to go after Epstein, like the guy who was in charge of the Palm Beach police. That guy truly wanted to see Epstein fry, and he got stopped.
He just kept getting spun around.
And that's why he's so prominently speaking in the special, and you don't see anything from Acosta.
Yeah, Kreischer, he retired in 2008. He's never directly addressed the Epstein agreement. So you can't get him on the record to answer anything about it. And then Acosta, he had to resign last year as U.S. Secretary of Labor, and he's not reemerged in public life. So he's laying low, especially with all this heat. He didn't want to answer those questions either. So nobody wants to answer any questions.
Where's Ghislaine Maxwell? Why aren't they going after her?
A lot of people
She
they need
seemed
to ask
like
questions
she was
of.
like front and center pimp. She was his female pimp.
Yep, there's a lot of people that should be right now. It shouldn't be a case that dies with Epstein. It is a case that still they should dig, they should look, and they should answer the questions as to why was this serial sex offender given such a sweetheart of a deal. And how did he really die? Did he really? Okay. Yeah.
That one's fishy too.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. So some fascinating stuff. That was some of the latest that I had seen on that as we keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper into scandal. All right, y'all. Thanks for the emails. Thanks for locking us in. And make sure you're back here tomorrow. We will be. Have a good one. Goodbye.
Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.